Hey, it's Matt from the podcastsetup.com. Today I want to talk about something that I recently made for one of the podcasts that I produce. It's called Agency Action Pod. So I have a small podcast network, like 3 shows, for the software called WordPress, which I cover over at thewpminute.com. Some of you might know about the other side of my professional career, which is open source and WordPress, not too far away from what I do with podcasting. So one of the shows that I produce, Agency Action, I don't host it. It's hosted by Kurt and Toby, and they talk about their sort of day-to-day life as running a WordPress or freelance agency. And it's not something that I'm recording every week. So one of the challenges as a, podcast network owner, to use that phrase loosely, is how do I market and promote this podcast that I'm not living, week to week like I am with other podcasts. So I'm always looking for new ways. I'm doing as much as I can in terms of like social clips, of course, like having them have guests on the show and, linking it in the broader network of the other stuff that I do, which is the newsletter, community, social media threads, stuff like that. But it dawned on me that we have an opportunity in the podcasting world with the RSS feed, particularly if you are having any of the Podcast 2.0 tags inside of your feed. Now, earlier this year, I did another experiment about the value of that podcast feed, and more importantly, the value of transcripts, thanks to the transcript tag in Podcasting 2.0. And what I did earlier this year, and I'll link that video as well, is I showed a year's worth of Pod News Weekly podcasts by ingesting all of the transcripts inside of the RSS feed and then building a searchable, filterable view of content and data, like ranking keywords, mentions, business trends, etc. And if anything you get out of this video is that your podcast content is super valuable, that transcript is super valuable, and thanks to Podcasting 2.0 and a lot of the, what I'll say is open source efforts to enhance the RSS feed, we can do things like this. Sprinkle some AI magic and you get a game called Agency Action Replay. So what I did is I said, well, since I have Podcasting 2.0 transcript tags in the Agency Action feed, what I'll do is have AI code me a video game. I had a couple of other iterations of this. I was trying to think of something that was like a card-based game. I think it was like the first attempt. I tried making some kind of like Mario game where you could like grab things that an agency owner might want to do in an agency. But ultimately, the goal that I wanted to achieve was exposure to the podcast, right? Listen to some sound bites from the podcast, and education. The whole point of the Agency Action podcast is you learn what it's like to run an agency. Education, good content is paramount, I think. And I wanted to make a game that was fun, but also educational. And the thing that surprised me was because I listened to every episode, but when I built the game, I was like, this is an interesting way. If I miss an episode, which I did, I missed the very first episode when I launched this game because I was like super busy that week doing a bunch of other things, and I missed the episode, and then I realized, let me just play the game. So let's take a look at it. And playing the game helped me experience the podcast. So here we are. I've made like this immersive arcade style game. This is just something that I came up with, and I had it sort of put it in the backdrop, quite literally, of like an old arcade game store. And you're standing in front of this arcade machine. You're here to play Agency Action. Now, it only looks like this on desktop, which is great if you play it on desktop. If you're on mobile, it just kind of squishes it down to just the game itself. There's nothing I can do there. But what was interesting is I spent some time thinking about creative ways to get people to subscribe to the show. So just like you have your arcade buttons on an arcade machine, I've put that here as well, which allows you to subscribe to the podcast on any of these RSS, Apple, Spotify, YouTube links or buttons, and then link to the actual website. Okay? So when we press start, there's a little chime. Hopefully I'm recording computer sound. Fingers crossed. And you can kind of scroll through and see the recent episodes, and you can see the ones that I've already cleared with a score. And up at the top, this one was clear with a score as well. So I can go through and play these games. Now, I'm not going to talk about technically how I built this. I am technical. I did use AI. AI did obviously all of the coding. There's a lot to unpack to how I built this, but it doesn't have to be this. And again, if anything you take away from this video, aside from how valuable your content is for your podcast, prompting with AI to build fun experiences is one of the better ways to leverage AI in podcasting rather than just jamming us with AI generated content. So you can experiment and play with it. The good thing is you can just throw your RSS feed at AI and then direct it on what you want to pull out. Transcripts, meta descriptions, obviously titles, podcast show notes, links, and stuff like that. There's a lot you can start to play with to build your own sort of podcast experience. This is, in my eyes, no different than building a podcast player, except here it's a game and it's an arcade game, and you'll see how we can play and experience the show differently. So I'm just going to pick this episode here. There's a little chime, kind of gets us ready. What I've done is I've built this method of like who said it, who done it kind of thing in this game, where you're trying to guess, did Kurt and Toby say this? You'll do a fill in the blank. You'll do pick 3 questions or pick out of 3 answers what the answer might be. So let's just go through this. I'm going to go through this fast because I don't want this to take all day to do something like this. So let me just read it off for you. It says, when you own a company, you own everything, whether you want to or not. And so as a business owner, the longer you're in it, the less you trust other people. That was a quote that just the game generates itself. Every time there's a new episode, it hits the OpenAI API, creates these 8 questions for the game, and then throws them into the arcade machine. So I now have to guess who said this. I'm just going to guess Kurt. It wasn't Kurt, it was Toby.
Now it's the exact opposite.
We'll hear an actual clip from the episode.
So and
I'm just going to pause that. So originally when I thought about this idea, I was like, wouldn't it be interesting if I had a game that people could play after they listened? But then, as I mentioned before, I said, well, I missed the episode, but instead of even going back to listen to clips on social media, let me just play the game because the game might actually be more fun for me to experience the content and get right into the educational pieces. So I've programmed it to give you the clip right after you give your answer. So it's getting that listener to experience the podcast in new ways. And if they're a new listener, potential new listener, it's even more, they're more apt to go and subscribe. So I'm going to go through this really quick so I can show you the ending. And I'm just going to select a bunch of questions, whether I get them right or not. You'll see that I'm getting a score. That was a fill in the blank.
We're going to have to...
The score doesn't save anywhere. It's not. It's just in the browser. I'm going to go through all 8. Here's the last one.
Right.
And then we'll go to see the results. So then I have it build a little page at the end that's, sort of breaks down what your score is. And then folks can either go and listen to it, or folks can go share it on social media, X, Facebook, LinkedIn, or we can go and listen to the full episode or play the game again. So at the end of the day, it's building these new experiences for your podcast and finding new ways to grow the show, as they say, finding new listeners, engaging past listeners, engaging current listeners, right? I think you have to really be thinking about all of these things in order to make your show stand out. I don't know how this is going to do. We're going to keep testing it, promoting it, seeing if we can engage the community to play the game and see what happens. As I was saying before, nobody registers an account. There's no database. I didn't want any of that stuff. There's just more things that can break, more things that I have to code with AI. This is very simple. For those of you who are technical, obviously it's all JavaScript, HTML front end, and hosted on Cloudflare, on a Cloudflare Pages worker. I know worker and pages are different, but it's just on the pages. And it's very lightweight, very easy. And again, AI coded everything. And there's not a lot of technical breakdown here other than ingesting the RSS feed and shipping the transcript off to my OpenAI API account, having it generate 8 questions for a level, game level, and then putting it into the arcade machine so that folks can play. And this does it all automatically. It's set to run a cron task to check on Tuesdays because that's when the episode goes out, and then pull in that content. So just a fun way. If you want to see me do a breakdown of some kind of generating something with AI and your podcast, I can do that. just let me know in the comments. But I figured I would share this. I think it's a fun, interesting way for folks to experience podcasts and get you thinking about new ways to leverage AI that isn't just like the generating content thing in podcasting. We want less of that, I think. So there you go. Thumbs up if you like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you want more. Leave a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter, thepodcastsetup.com. It's completely free. Send you great information like this and other stuff about podcasting. Look for a new podcast coming soon. I've been talking about that as well for quite some time, but I'm finally going to do it because it'll be a new sponsor of the newsletter. So I'm excited to announce that. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.